I took my chance. I took some, using my 3D printers, I went ahead and made some stuff. Some of it survived, some of it did not. Some of it was effective, and again, some of it was not, right? So one thing that was effective is the diver. This should look rather familiar for anyone who does any kind of really deep diving, deep water fishing. Get back here, you. Hold on. There we go. I'll get to that in a second. So anyone who does any kind of real deep water fishing should recognize this. This is a clone of a diver. It printed as one piece on the printer, just like this. I printed just like that. Threw on some split rings. Threw on some fittings and whatnot. And this worked really well for one of the deeper lakes I had. I fished in last year, which was 35, 40 feet. It's got the spoon down there to where I wanted, and kept it down there in a rather good manner. Right? And speaking of getting fish's attention here, I also printed last year some dodgers, or some flashers, right? Flashers. I want to try my hand at printing flashers. And so sure as not, I printed some flashers last year, right? So here's one of them, right? And then here's a larger one, same pattern on the printer, just larger. And I bought a pack of reflective fishing tape, if you will, and it has served me wonders, beyond comparison wonders. I have used it on these. And here's another flasher I made. And this one I normally use for a lot more cloudy days. I use this one on cloudy days. It's a bit darker than that one. So, right. So in spoons, I decided to try my hand at Tinkercad and made some Castmaster clones. And again, clones. So no copyright. Not trying to copyright. Just trying to save a few bucks. Trying to make my own design, reshape, repurpose an already existing design for the sake of just trying to fish. You know, this one didn't come out so well, as opposed to perhaps this one. Plus, it gave me a chance to use some of my ill-forgotten paints up on my paint shelf that I don't normally use for other hobbies. And of course, the minute I start talking, the birds start chirping. Right? So, right, that should do. And then I've got a couple others that are rather larger. They're 3 inches. So this is maybe 8th, maybe 16th, somewhere in that bubble. This is very light. Right, even though they're printed at 100% infill on the printer, so that's rock solid. It's a solid piece. It's still rather light for its purpose. Okay. And then to continue on, last year I also tried my hand at bobbers. So a lot of my stick bobbers broke. So it was the body, and then a stick on the top and a stick on the bottom, and the point of failure was here, was a stick, right? I wish I had a pencil to hold up for reference. But these are slip bobbers, and these held up really, really well. You know, bobber stopper on each end, slip bobber dogging, you know. I tried that. I tried just good old generic slip bobbing. They're heavy, they float, and yeah, these work. These work really well. So mover in particular, I went ahead and found some 3D crankbait. I haven't even tested these out yet because breakup is like literally right around the corner. Probably next week and a half. I mean, there's some spots along the Chena River that I can go down there. I can go down to the Chena River right now and test. I probably will. Probably put my snowsuit on, put my snow boots on, tracks, so I don't fall on the ice and snow. But the river's exposed, so that means it's warm enough. It's 40s in the day, 20s at night. So I think within the next week or so, I'll be putting up a video of me testing all the newly created stuff, like I like to do every year. So this was one of the first crankbaits I made way back November, December, January. Just eyes that I had left over from last year. If you can see the seam down the middle, most of the time you print these, it's 2 printed parts. There'll be a track in the middle that you run the wire through. Or alternatively, some models will have just a hole, in which case you twist the wire up. I don't prefer those. I don't like those. Personal preference. Some other printers, people like myself, might disagree and prefer those. But this is the one I made, right? And then again, it's personal preference. This is one my daughter made, and again, she used some 3D reflective tape. We hit it with some glue really good. Now, when it comes to 3D printed lures, I like to use super glue. I like to sand them quite well. I don't really see any need for any heavy levels of epoxy, or I'm not trying to be perfect. This isn't a perfect bait. I'm not trying to, oh my God, be perfect. I'm trying to be effective, right? And I've learned that just a few coats of polyurethane over the top of a 3D printed model or piece will do wonders. Will do wonders for keeping it maintained. And pass here in a second, but to continue my spiel here, and I got some hooks caught here, trying to grab the next one. Right, again, this is just 2 parts. You can see the seam down the middle, eyes glued on, glued down the reflectives, ran the wiring, put on the split rings, and I hit it with good 2-3 layers of polyurethane. Right, I'll hold it a little closer and kind of do this. Right, hopefully you can see that sheen, that shine, because again, I'm not aiming for perfection. I'm aiming for effectiveness, right? So, with that said, I got 2 more left to show you, and then I'll give you my thoughts, closing thoughts, right? So here's the latest and greatest crankbait. I haven't put any polyurethane on this one, so if I hold these up together, you can see the difference, right? This is 3 layers of polyurethane. This is 0 polyurethane, right? So this is a very fluorescent red. It took a rather hot minute to find this color in Fairbanks. Fairbanks is remote enough where things are hard to find, but not remote enough where Amazon don't get too hoots about us. We can still get Amazon orders within reason. So I thought, with spring around the way, a nice fluorescent red crankbait to get down deep, because water, even though once water breaks up, that water's still going to be 30-35 degrees. That water's not going to be swimmable till May, June. But once green up hits, once it starts 50, 60, what you in the lower 48, down in the south and Midwest and whatnot, Texas, Arizona, Mississippi, Louisiana, what you guys experience over a long period of time, even Washington, Northern California, what you experience over several weeks, almost several months, March, April, May, we get in like 2 weeks. So it's going to go from 40s and 20s to probably 80s and 60s. But the water has a habit of not catching up quite as fast as the air temperature. So even that deep water will still be, 30, 40 degrees while the air is 80. Right? It might hit 50, 60 degrees. I plan on testing that this year. And don't mind my wife, she's making coffee in the background. And the birds are chirping. It's a house. We live in a house, right? So, nice fluorescent, nice deep bill. It'll dive deep. It'll get down there where the fish are still chilling down deep in the water column. Whatnot. Now, the final bit here on a review of my winter creation expedition is this awkward thing. Now, I got this idea of making my own spoons. Here in the near future, I got some spoons I'm going to recycle, take out to the garage, hit with a Dremel tool, orbital sander, etc., and kind of give some DIYs of taking your old retired spoons in your kitchen that you don't want in your kitchen anymore, and making spoons. But then I thought one step further. I'm like, wait, hold up. There's 3D models for camp spoons, like recyclable camp spoons. You print them out, you use them for the camping trip. It's just cheap plastic, you just chuck it, right? Or maybe wash it and you reuse it. Here was some polyurethane, reuse it. Well, I took it one step further and I made this thing. And what we're looking at here is a spoon, right? That I took and I took Tinkercad and I made it a little bit deeper and a little bit wider, a little thicker. I punched some holes in it with Tinkercad, and then I painted it. This is just a couple coats of silver paint. I think it was platinum silver. It's silver paint over gray, flat gray over silver paint. Put some clips on the end. So the question is, I don't know if I want to use this as a daughter, or I want to use it as a spoon. It was printed from this angle here, so the lines go vertically. So the lines go vertically back and forth. It printed from this point, or wait, no, this point. I'll hold it the correct way here. So it printed line by line this way, right? Because I've learned over the years, if you print this way, so if you hold it this way and print this way, and when the fish strikes, he'll gulp the lure, but then when he pulls, it'll separate at the seams. So if I print it this way, so it prints essentially this way, vertically, you can see on the inside, if I hold the inside there, you see the vertical lines. I don't think it'll split as badly when the fish strikes. Once I put a swivel here and maybe a single hook. That's another thing about Alaska. A lot of places are single hook only. Right? Single shank only. So, I mean, there are a few places you can use a treble hook, but that's only for stock fish. Right? If it's not a stock fish, like a rainbow trout, we stock rainbow trout, we stock Chinooks, or lake silver trout, salmon, and Dolly Vardens in some lakes. Dolly Varden Arctic char in some lakes, right? So back to this. This is why it's rigged the way it is with the two clamps on the end, because I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'm thinking about just leaving the clamps as is. Make it a little versatile. But what I am going to do, though, and I'll cover this in a later video, or maybe a refresh, is put this kind of reflective tape. I'm not sure if I want this one. I mean, I have a good couple dozen patterns, and put it on here. Put it on here, so to give it that nice reflective hoopty. And then obviously this hasn't been polyurethane either, so once I put the reflective tape on it, I'll hit it with polyurethane and we'll call it good, right? Let's talk about my builds for this winter. This is 2021-2022 winter season. This is all my offline building, via spinner building, via jig building, squid building, 3D printer building. I'm still really proud of this one. This is amazing. I'm surprised how well that fluorescent red. I've been fighting with this color for a year. So, a little scan recap here of everything going on here. You know, it looks kind of busy in the tackle boxes and whatnot, but I promise you, this will be amazing once it hits the water. The goal is to put fish in the bucket to bring home, to eat, to enjoy, because that's what fish is. Fish is a food source. Fish is fun. Fish is sustenance, and fish is life. And for everything else, there's coffee. So thank you again. If you like what you see, go ahead and hit the like button. Consider subscribing. Got more content coming along the way. With the sun not setting till almost 10 o'clock, if you watch some of my shorts, I like bragging about that, because I think it's fun. I always have, I always will. I'll probably be living here 20, 30 years until I put in the ground, and every spring, oh look, it's March, it's April, the sun is still up at 10 o'clock at night, right? It's 10:30 now, the sun finally went down about a half hour ago. So, fishing's life. For everything else, there's coffee. Thank you, and you'll have a good day.